Hello you lovely lot and welcome to a new video. Of course, my name is Katie and we're going to be doing a Scrawlrbox, but it is a slightly older one because I'm still playing catch up. So let's talk about this rather cute print we got by this month's featured artist, or that month's featured artist, and that is Polina Zabadina. Loving the watercolour and celestial vibes going on with that one, and of course it's made its way onto my scroller wall, which is actually kind of getting full now. You'll see whilst I've been waffling on, past me has zoomed forward straight into the goodies, and we have some Viviva colour sheets, a sea white round size 6 paintbrush, a water-soluble graphite pencil in HB, and I'll be honest with you, I'm quite partial to a bit of water-soluble graphite, so I'm happy that was in there. Of course, we also have a surface to work on, and that is the Scrawlrbox own brand A5 watercolour paper. It's 190 GSM, it's a cold press knot, and we have 8 sheets to play with, which are just perfect to swatch things out. Of course, we also have the Scroll zine, and that has lots of handy tips from the featured artist, as well as a couple of articles here and there, information about the supplies, and of course, Scrawlrbox winners of past, which is very nice, especially when you get featured in there. But anyway, let us talk about these rather fabulous, delicious looking Viviva colour sheets, shall we? Now, admittedly, they are not my go-to for watercolour. I'm not really sure why, because they are absolutely fabulous to work with. I think, for me anyway, because I am just a calamity sometimes, I do find them a little bit messy because I'm a little bit careless with them out there, I said it. However, they are actually quite nice to work with. All of the Viviva ones, apart from that very first book that came out, but I guess Viviva was in its early stages and working on formulas because the colours did bleed into one another quite easily back then, but similar products I've used since then by Viviva, as well as the peerless watercolours actually. They tend not to do that, so maybe they've just added something to the binder. Who knows? Anyway, I like working with them. They are actually quite bold and vibrant, and I should probably play with them a little bit more, to be honest. But I do like a watercolour pan, but I also like these too. I'm not really sure what I'm trying to say there. Anyway, whilst past me swatches out the colours, I will tell you what they are. So we have a ruby red, a pink pearl, fire, lava, jade, emerald, aurora, sapphire, silver and gold. And I don't know why I'm a bit sceptical about these, because I think we had some in Upcrate last year where there were a few metallics in there. Part of me's like, this shouldn't work. This shouldn't work. These are dye based and that's how they work, whereas obviously if you have some particles of mica in there, which I'm assuming that are the nice sparkly bits, I'm like, how does that work? How does that work? But it does, and that's where I'm going to leave it. Maybe we shouldn't be asking too many questions and we should just accept that they are sparkly and shiny. Upon further inspection though, I think I have deduced that they kind of just use 2 mica pigments. You've got a silvery one obviously for the cooler colours, and then you've obviously got a golden one for your more warmer colours. So the fire, the lava, the emerald, the aurora and the gold are obviously all gold based, and the other ones I think may have a base tone of silver. And I guess that's fine actually, because how these dyes work, I guess it kind of dyes the mica particles and it's not screamingly obvious the base colours behind it. Again, I'm not entirely sure where I'm going with that, so let's talk about the picture, shall we? And I'll probably come back and waffle on some more a bit about the marvels of the metallics that are in this set. So, this particular theme, the Scrawler Challenge for box 102, is fire and ice, and I thought I would create 2 characters, I suppose one being a different temperature reflection of the other, perhaps. I don't know. I just wanted to create 2 characters rather than perhaps one with a bit of a contrast going on one person. I thought, oh, let's have a hot person and let's have a cold person. Admittedly, as lovely as the paper was, especially to swatch out on, I just fancied drawing some on a surface just a little bit bigger, so I used some watercolour paper that I got, I think, from Choosing Keeping possibly a couple of years ago. It's very nice to work with. It's also a hot press as well, and for me personally, I do like to use a smoother watercolour paper, especially for these dye-based watercolours. I absolutely love the fact that we were given a water-soluble graphite pencil rather than a fine liner pen. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind a fine liner pen. I definitely go through them. I kill quite a lot of them with lots of very tiny detailed drawings, so they do get used, they definitely get used, but I am really happy that we had this. I don't know what it was about this particular combination. I think because graphite does have a bit of a very subtle metallic sheen to it, I think that's kind of, it kind of hit different than using a liner pen, I guess. And obviously to be able to add those details down and sketch the idea out as well, and then just go over it with a paintbrush just to smush it around and make it look a little bit more like a watercolour. I loved that because the whole finished piece looks like a watercolour done from scratch, and I don't know, I liked it. My concerns were, are these going to reactivate once I go over them in the watercolours? But no, it was a chef's kiss combination, so nice one, Scrawlrbox. I did enjoy this very much. So yes, I've pretty much done that process of sketching it out and just going over it very lightly with a dampened brush, and again the same process for our fiery character on the top. I thought for the cold character she would have very sleek hair and it would be quite, I suppose, quite dark, and I'm going to obviously go into the colours when that happens. And then for our fiery character, I thought some hair with some movement in it, so these lustrous waves of hair, they just seem to fit the bill quite nicely. And again, it's a similar technique of just going over it in that graphite pencil and then just using a damp brush. It doesn't need to be soaking, otherwise it's going to get out of control. But just using a damp brush, moving the graphite around a bit to where you want it, and yes, I was so happy with it. You can tell, can't you? Anyway, we are at that fabulous time of adding some pigments and some shinies on there, and I thought just to add a little bit of difference each side, we'd have the warm gold on the cold character side and that cool silver on the warm character side. I had to say that a couple of times, you know, it was a bit confusing trying to articulate that. I don't know why, it's not that hard. And of course it's time to start adding some nice colours there, and I went in very lightly. I thought, we're going to layer this. We're going to do this because Viviva colour sheets these days allow the layering, and the bleed of colours isn't so bad, so we're not going to have too much crazing where one colour will seep into the other. And you can tell on this area now. Previously when I've used, especially the older ones, the old formula, that blue, that would have gone on its own little adventure into the gold on the background, but I don't know what they've added, but it's great, it doesn't do that anymore. The way I'd also applied the paint is I let the mica settle to the bottom of the little pool of, I suppose, activated paint there, because I just wanted to lift the colour out of it for now. And although the silver tone was what I was going for, and obviously that's going to be for the cooler character, I just wanted to make sure that I'd got the right pigments down first before I committed to using perhaps more bolder strokes of paint there, for want of better words. And again, the same applies for our fiery character at the top. I just let those mica particles sink to the bottom so I could just lift the pigment out. So even if metallics are just not your thing, and I can understand that, especially for a whole painting, you don't need to worry about it too much. It's not going to interfere with your overall effect if you just lift the ink from the top and do not disturb those particles beneath. You should be alright. Of course, with it being a dye-based watercolour, your consistency of ink should remain pretty much the same throughout, so the actual pigment itself's not going to drop. It should just be the mica, so you can dodge that metallic bullet if you want to. So I might as well fill you in a little bit on what's been going on. So the lino print obsession is still going strong right now, and again I'm still trying to figure out how to do a start to finish one. I might be just working on a couple of smaller pieces. I will try and get a video done of that. It's, again, I've mentioned before, it's just a bit of a setup nightmare. Although I still think once I have got a few more good ones carved out anyway, I will do a video just rolling them out and printing them out, because I personally find that very satisfying. I've obviously got another Scrawlrbox to catch up on. I think it might be the February box. I'm not entirely sure. I've got that one to do. And obviously I've got the April box to do as well. So I am looking forward to getting stuck into those. The February box has been done. I just need to add the voiceover to it. And yeah, that's a bit of a roadblock for me at the moment, but I am getting there. And I've also got a video that I've made, and again, it just needs the voice adding over it, of a pretty useful book I've picked up, and I want to share with you and perhaps just make a little mini series out of it. I think it'll give me an excuse to just use some of those gouaches I hadn't featured before, because they just seem perfect for this project. And I'm a bit stuck for drawing dragons at the moment, so this particular line of work might just get the old creative juices flowing, just so I get that gouache used and I can give you guys a good review on it and my thoughts. I also want to say a lovely thank you to all of your wonderful, kind messages from that last video I dropped. Honestly, you guys are the reason that makes me want to come back, even though I kind of disappear for a little while, but it was so heartwarming, and thank you for just being so incredibly cool. These lovely supportive messages kind of remind me why I really enjoy making the YouTube videos. I love creating art anyway, and I don't know, just to have such nice feedback, it makes it just feel a little bit more worthwhile. So thank you. I'm always humbled and always appreciative of everyone's lovely comments. I do read them all, I really do. So thank you so much. But anyway, let's carry on talking about the painting now, because some interesting stuff's going on with those metallics. As you'll see, I am going straight in there with that silver to add some highlights to her hair, and boy oh boy does that pop. You'll also have noticed while I was waffling on that I added a little bit of graphite to the background, and I don't know why I did that. I just wanted to experiment a little. Probably should have done that on the swatch page really, but I actually really like the effect that created. It just added a little bit more texture, because obviously these paints, it's not going to be like gilding work unless you do very small areas, but over a large surface area, just because of physics, I guess, it's not going to dry completely evenly. You're going to have strange textures. And I thought, well, let's just add some more to it so it looks like it was done on purpose. But I actually quite like the overall effect anyway. It kind of, I don't know, it kind of adds a nice bit of an aged look to it. So yeah, and it didn't interfere with the layers beneath it all that much. I think it might have stirred up a little bit of the mica, but I mean, that's your particles, isn't it? That's what's gonna happen. Anyway, we are at that lovely finishing touches stage where I start drawing in all of those little gappy areas where the characters' outfits are, and I add the shading again like I did with all the other areas, and I use that lovely graphite pencil. I do like that graphite pencil, honestly. I know I keep fawning over it, but that was a good choice. It was a good choice. And obviously it's time to add some colours, and again, I love the finishing touches stage. It's just nice to see everything come together after all the little bits of experimentation on the pages and just playing about with the colours. It's like a nice conclusion at the end, especially when you think it's gone well, which I think this painting has. I thought I would give the cold character some gloves, because even though she likes the cold, she does not want cold, dry hands, so there's the logic there, although I think what she's wearing, she probably would still be cold actually. And I thought I'd add just a little bit of texture in the background there by adding some of the metallics. Neat, and I really like it. I loved this box, it was good fun. I really enjoyed what I did with it. I liked the paper, but I just needed something bigger. That's the only reason why. And yeah, everything was great. I also enjoyed the fruitella that came with it. Very nostalgic. Anyway, you lovely lot, that pretty much concludes this video for today. I do hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful, although you've probably played with these now and are onto other boxes since then. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!